Hi everybody, it's Claire from Handmade at Hudson's, and today I thought I would show you how I prepare my stamp sets. So when I have been crafting, you may have noticed that in my stamp cases I have a piece of card generally, and it contains the stamps. So for this stamp, this is the Snowman Seasons, I have stamped all the snowmen and all the sentiments, and this can help you get ideas, but also so that you know how it all stamps and how if you have a punch cutouts, that how they fit together. And then on the other side I have got the stamp and the punch together, and then just the punch, so that will show you what the punch punches out. And I haven't actually added the nose on the other hand, that's very naughty of me. And then in here on this side I've just got a pocket to hold any bits that I have left over. So this is just a stencil sheet, and I would use that if I just wanted to do a quick blend and cover these bits up. And then this is so this could be used as a mask with some tape, or of course if I have actual pieces that I have cut out to mask. So if I'm using my masking sheets, which I use in Dinky-Doo, then they would go in there. So some of my stamps and dies do have masks, which I have used. So I will show you how I do that using the sweet ice cream. So this is the sweet ice cream stamp set. It comes as part of a bundle at the moment, and it's a punch, so it's gorgeous. It's an ice cream builder punch. So that is available in the January to June mini, and then subsequently it will be available in the next 2021 catalogue. Anyhow, so how do I prep these? So the first thing I would do is to just check that all my stamps are here. Now I'm just going to switch this off for a second. Actually, you can see me. That might seem like an odd thing to say, but there have been instances with different places that not all the stamps are there, so that's what you want to do. So the second thing you want to do is just check that there's no obvious damage. So I'm just going to peel off this sheet, and there's nothing that I can see that would stop the stamps from stamping. Okay, so the next thing I would think about if I wasn't using my Stamposaurus, Dino. My Stamposaurus is called Dino. Anyhow, is what blocks will I need for this set? So I'm pretty sure that I only need a D and a H block. So I've got those out, and I'm just going to pull out my other D, and I'm just giving it a quick wipe because it's filthy and it probably needs going through the dishwasher. So the next thing that you also need to think about is what are you going to stamp on. So I tend to stamp on Whisper White, which I've cut down. So I have got a piece of Whisper White here, and I will use this one I think, but I have noticed the stain, so I'm just going to use that as a extra piece. So this one will do. Okay, so before I get into stamping, I tend to take my stamps and to put them onto the block. So there it is. So before I stamp onto the paper, I tend to use Versamark first. So I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to get some scrap paper. And then after I do that, I tend to use basic grey. So I've got some basic grey here, and I'm just going to ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it down on my scrap piece of paper, and that's quite a good image. So what I would do now is clean off my stamp, So I'm just using my chamois, and then I will try it again. So I'm going to stamp, just going to ink up my image, and then I'm going to stamp that down again. So I think that's quite a good image, but I think that my grey is slightly juicy. Let's see if we can fix that. That's better. So now we've got a better image. So what I would then do is to take my piece of paper that I'm going to stamp the image onto and to ink up my stamp. And then stamp my image. So there's my image stamped onto my piece of card. Now, because this stamp also is part of this punch and you can punch it out, I am going to stamp it again on my scrap piece of paper. And of course, if you want an even better image, you can bring your mat. This is a Stampin' Paste mat, but it's also good for photopolymer stamps. And there we have a perfect image. And then what you would do is then take your punch, which is here, and I haven't opened it yet. Let's see if I can get this in here, because I think I have done this wrong. See? Yeah. So note to self, take notice of where they where it is. Okay, so it's going to be on this side. So let's try that again. So I'm just going to take my punch. Line that up and punch it out. And I'm going to keep that to the side a second. So while I've got my punch out, I'm going to take a scrap piece of basic black, and I am going to punch out both parts of the punch. So I have got my cone, which seems to have been a bit odd. Let's try that again. Oh, it's because I went off the piece of card. And again. Right, let's just line up the cone. So I've got my cone, she says, which is better now. And then I have got my top. So what I would do is I will add that to the back of my paper along with this one. So I am going to speed up the whole of my stamping now. So I shall see you shortly. Okay, so let's move this junk out of the way. So you may well notice that actually these aren't straight. That's fine. It's just a representation of how and what it stamps. And then you may also notice that I have left some of the stamps on here, and that's because the next thing I'm going to do is show how they layer together. So that's because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up the layers. So I'm going to turn this over, So for example, I'm going to add this to my block, and I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp on, and then I'm going to swap over and use the top part, and I'm going to stamp that in full strength. And then we have a sort of lined up lolly, and then I'm going to do the lolly lines. I'm going to clean these in a minute, and then I am going to add the lolly stick. And we have a striped lolly stick on this lolly, and then it's the same for the cone. You would stamp off the cone, and then you would add the extra part, like so. And then of course, if you wanted to, I'm just going to put that up there, you would add the ice cream, and you can add multiple layers of the ice cream if you want to. So there we go. So I'm going to carry on building different options, and then we will come back in a minute. So here we have what we came up with, and of course you can have endless combinations, but I quite like these. So on one side we have got all the stamps that you can stamp on. On the other side we have got the different combinations, and then on another piece I have got the stamps cut out with the dies, and then the stamps cut out with the punch, and then the punch by itself, and that's what it would create. So if you had a set like Perfectly Played, you would cut out the tree multiple times, because the 3 different trees will cut out different creations. So that's my Perfectly Played example. And then these would just go inside the stamp set and live in my bookcase. So the last thing I do is to stick down my stamps. So how do I do that? I just take some tear and tape, or you could, I know people have used fuse or red liner tape. So I tend to stick this down like so. Take a pokey tool, and then stick that down, and I tend to leave the top sheet on, and so when it is on the shelf it's not wiggling too much. But if I want to check and see how it stamps and how I have to create anything, it's all there ready for me to play with. So thank you very much for pressing play on the video today. I hope that you have enjoyed or this helped you in some way to prepare your stamps. So as I said, we're just making sure that they all work and they're all there. Now most of the time they do work. I think I've only had one stamp set, and I've probably got about 500-600 stamp sets that haven't worked. But yes, thank you very much for pressing play on the video. If you've got any questions, please contact me. My email is claire@handmade.hudsons.co.uk, or you can find me on the Tinterweb, Handmade Hudsons. You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on Pinterest. Thank you very much for pressing play, and I hope to speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.